Okay, you guys, I'm off to Manson. Hopefully, number one, first thing, before we go over the notes, you are in your new seats. Sorry, but that's the way it goes. Maybe you can earn your way to better seats later, but I need you quiet so you can listen to the notes, okay, and pay attention. So, number one, we're going to factor, okay? So, the common core is algebra, reasoning, equations, and inequalities. For we solve quadratic equations. Quadratic, that's our x squared equations, and that's what this is all about. So number one, factor, okay? So the first one, because there's only two terms, you got to remember there's such a thing as common factoring. So they have a common multiple of 4, so you can take out a common multiple of 4, and they both have at least one x in common. So when you common factor, it's just really only one set of parentheses. So I take out the common multiple of 4, take out the x. What's left over in this term would just be an x minus a 5. And if you want to check, you can always say, well, this times this does make 4x squared, and this times this makes a 20x. Okay, that's it, common factoring. Okay, example 2, it's a trinomial. So we're going to use our two sets of parentheses. I have to make an x squared, so I'm thinking, all right, x and x, because that makes the x squared. And I need multiples of 12 that also add up to make a negative 7. Now there's lots of them, but the ones I want is a negative 3 and a negative 4, because a negative 3, negative 4 will add up to negative 7, but we'll multiply to make the positive 12. So the negative 3 and negative 4. Any other combination will not work. That's the one you need. Okay. Example 3. Example 3, when you have a 5 or any number in front, we're going to have to double check with our double smiley. But let's at least set it up. It is a trinomial. So we're going to go parentheses, parentheses. Okay. The only way I can make a 5x squared is with a 5x and an x, all right? Now with the 2, we got to be careful. Don't worry about the 3 yet. With the 2, we got to be careful. Got to put them in the right places. If I put the 2 here, it's not going to work because I'd have a 10. Okay, I can't put the 2 here because I'd give me a 10 and a 1. But I need to put the 2 here and the 1 here. And if I check with my double smiley, remember the double smiley? Check with my double smiley. I need to make a negative 3x. I'm working on the negative 3x. So that's going to be a 2x there. And that's going to be a 5x there. Now I need a negative 3, so I need a negative 5x. The way I'm going to get the negative 5x is to make this term negative and this term positive. That is the correct answer, because you'll get a 5x squared, and then you'll get the negative 2, but the middle term, the negative 3, is made by the 2x and the negative 5x. Okay, now example 4 means to solve. When you're going to solve, we're going to get x equals 2. We're going to get 2 answers, okay? We're going to need 2 answers when we solve, okay? So we definitely need 2 answers when we solve. We're going to get x equals and x equals, okay? So let's go through this, okay? So first of all, to solve, I'm going to bring these two terms over to the other side, because I need to set it equal to 0. It must be set equal to 0. So I get a 5x squared. I bring over the 3x, negative 3x. I bring the 2 and I get a negative 2 equals 0. So I brought over the 3 by subtracting it and the 2 by subtracting it. Now, it's pretty much exactly the one we just did. What do you know? It is that one there. Cool. I did that on purpose. What do you know? So it's already been factored, so let's go back to what we had up here. We know it factored into a 5x plus 2 and an x minus 1. Okay? We already factored it, 5x plus 2x minus 1. But this time we're solving. So we have to take our little equations and set them equal to 0. So the first equation is 5x plus 2. We're going to set it equal to 0. And this x minus 1 we set equal to 0. Okay, so we got two little mini equations to solve. So we're trying to solve these mini equations. So we're going to go minus 2, we get a 5x equals negative 2, right? To solve, subtract 2, subtract 2. I'm going to divide by 5, divide by 5. When I do that, I get negative 2/5. That is one answer. Remember, we need 2 answers. That is one. Other one's easy, plus 1 plus 1. We just get x equals 1. That's the second answer. 2 answers. There you go. Okay. Okay, example 5. What we're going to have to do is solve it, but since it has a square here, we're going to do the opposite, and we're going to square root it, because the square root with the square cancels. So we square root 25. 2 answers, remember? 2 answers. So the square root of 25 is 5, but it's plus or minus 5. Okay? Square root of 25 is 5, but two answers need plus or minus 5. Okay? Now the square disappears, and you're left with an x minus 4 equals plus or minus 5. Okay? So square root cancels. We're left with x minus 4 equals plus or minus 5. Now we need two answers. So let's set up two equations. One equation is x minus 4 equals 5, and the other is an x minus 4 equals a negative 5. Okay? So set up both. X minus 4 equals a positive 5, and x minus 4 equals a negative 5. All right, so let's solve. Plus 4 plus 4. If I add 4, one answer is 9. Plus 4, the other answer is negative 1. There's my two answers. I just solved. Added 4 to 5, and I got 9. Added 4 to negative 5, and I got a negative 1. There's my two answers. Okay, example 6 is a lot like 5. It's a lot like it. So first of all, let's bring the 4 over. So bring the 4 over. So I have to subtract it. I have to subtract the 4. So I'll have my x minus 1 squared equals negative 4. And then what I'm going to do with that is, again, to get rid of the square, I'm going to square root. Because the square root will cancel the square, and I'll square root this. Now, I'm going to have a negative, right? So this is going to have an I answer, okay? We'll do this bit by bit. So first of all, square cancels square root, so I'm just left with an x minus 1 equals, square root of 4 is 2, but two answers plus or minus. So I'll get plus or minus. Two answers plus or minus, I'm going to get a 2i, okay? The I comes from the fact that the square root of 4 is 2, and then I just get the I, okay? Next step, plus 1, I just add 1. So if I add 1, you can't really add 1 to an I, because that's an imaginary number, and 1 is real, so it's just 1 plus or minus 2i. So if you go plus 1, you cannot add those. That's imaginary, that's real. There's my two answers right there. It is two answers. Okay, example 7, okay? Just like a warm-up. If we're going to graph this, let's first find our border points. I need my border points. I get my border points by factoring. Okay, set it equal to 0. So I'm going to factor this. Set it equal to 0. Okay, multiples of 30. Well, the ones I want are negative 6 and positive 5. I need a negative 6 and a positive 5. So I've got an x minus 6 and x plus 5. Okay, again, multiples of 30. There's lots of them, but I want 6 and 5. I need a negative 6 and a positive 5 because they multiply to make the negative 30 and they add to make the negative 1. Now, of course, we're not done. We have to find our border points, so we set them equal to 0. So we get x minus 6 equals 0. And we're going to have an x plus 5 equals 0. So take the x minus 6, set it equal to 0. The x plus 5, set it equal to 0. Okay, solve. Plus 6, plus 6. One border point is at 6, and the other border point minus 5, minus 5. The other border point is at negative 5. Okay, now I need a number line. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get a number line. Put my number line down there. Okay. And I really don't need much on here as far as points. I'm just going to put negative 5. I'll put 0 in there. What the heck? And I'll put a 6. Okay. Now I'm going to shade on the number line. First thing, though, that I recognize is that I'm going to have open circles. Okay. There's not an equal sign here, so it's going to be an open circle at 6 and an open circle at negative 5. Okay. Now I need to test. I'm either going to shade this region, or this region. And the way I test is by plugging numbers in. So what I'm looking for are negative values, because it has to be less than 0. I'm looking for plugging it in, and I need negative values when I plug it in. The reason I need negative values is because I want to know when it's less than 0. Okay, well, I could do that. So to test, calculator up here, let's test some regions, right? So clear. So first let's plug in negative 6, because that's within that region. So plug negative 6 into the original. Okay, so I'll go parentheses, negative 6 squared minus negative 6, subtract 30, and I get an answer of 12. 12 is positive. That's a positive. So we'll put a little plus here because that's positive. Okay. Test a point in here. How about 0? 0 sounds like the easiest. If I plug in 0, I know I'm going to have negative 30. 0, 0, I'll get negative 30. So that's negative. Okay. Let me test a region out here. Maybe 7. So I'll try 7. I'll go parentheses 7 squared minus 7, subtract 30. And I get an answer of negative 86. So it's, oh, that can't be right. Is not right. Try it again. Oh, negatives on the inside. See, I made a mistake, didn't I? Try it again. 7 squared minus 7. Oh, that's not even negative. Come on back here. Delete. It's just 7. That's where I made a mistake. There is no negative, is there? So 7 squared minus a 7 minus a 30 is a positive value. Okay? So positive values here, negative values here, positive here. What I'm looking for is things that are less than 0, which are negative values. So I want to shade everything in this region here. There we go. If I had to describe this number line in interval notation, I would describe it as parentheses, negative 5 comma 6, parentheses. Parentheses, not brackets, open circle. Parentheses, not bracket, because it's an open circle. Okay? All right, example 8. Okay, hopefully you have a calculator, because we're going to let the calculator do the work on this one, right? Why not? Okay, so if you remember, we are just going to go on our calculator, y equals, and I'm going to clear all that out. Okay, let me grab a different calculator. So we're going to go, oh, this one's dead. Grab a different calculator. Okay, you guys are probably grabbing calculators right now anyway. So let's graph this. Here we go. Now you're ready. Y equals. Clear that out. I got a scatter plot on there, so I'm going to get rid of my scatter plot. Scatter plot. Turn that off. Enter. Quit. Okay. All right. So y equals, and I'm going to go x squared. Subtract 4x. Subtract 12. Now, if I want to shade, remember we go all the way over to here. And if it's going to be greater than, I push enter. Enter, and there it is. I've got the triangle on the upper triangle, which is greater than. Okay, let me check my window because I really want to go negative 10 to 10 and negative 10 to 10. There's my window. Negative 10 to 10, negative 10 to 10. Okay, just a standard window. I'm going to graph it, and there it is. Okay, now I might need to, after I hit graph right there, I got it. I might need to see a little bit lower to get all the points. So go to my window, and I'm going to make my y min a little bit more. How about negative 15? Yeah, negative 15 should. Y min, negative 15. Let's go a little bit lower. Graph. Okay, there it is. Even maybe a little bit lower. Okay, window, y min. How about negative 20? And there it is. Okay. Shade it in. All right, great. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with me. I'm trying to go slowly. Example 9, the quadratic formula. Okay, AV, you are good at this. Let's do the quadratic formula. Okay, I'm doing another set of sheet of paper because it's not going to fit. It takes too much work on the quadratic formula. So, A is 2, B is negative 4, and C is 7. Let's plug it in. Negative 4, because I'm using the quadratic formula right there. Plus or minus the square root of b, which is negative 4 squared, minus 4. That's always 4. Times a, and a is 2, times c, which is 7. All over 2 times a, and a is 2. Okay, so plug the numbers in. Here's my quadratic formula. Negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So plug the numbers in, just like I did. And now let's start to evaluate. Okay, negative is going to be a positive 4. Plus or minus, because of the two answers. Square root 16. 4 times 2 is 8, times 7 is 56, minus 56, all over 4. Okay. Now, slide it up so you can see more of it. Now, we're going to go 4 plus or minus the square root of a negative 40 all over 4. Okay, right off the bat, I know I'm going to have an I answer. I'm going to have an I answer for sure. It will be I because of the negative inside. So, little side work. Do a little side work over here. Square root of negative 40. Okay, I'm doing a little side work. Okay. Same thing as the square root of 4, square root of 10, times the square root of negative 1. Because 40 can be 4 and 10. I like 4 and 10 because there is a square root of 4. 8 and 5 is not good. 2 and 20 is not good, but 4 and 10 is good. So now I get a 2 square root of 10 I. And that is going to go right there. Okay? 2 square root of 10 I goes right there. So let's see what I have. I'm going to have a 4 plus or minus 2 square roots of 10 I over 4. And the last thing I'm going to do with this problem is make it a 4 over 4 plus or minus 2 over 4 square roots of 10I. Because I have to break it up into 2 parts, a real and an imaginary. And of course, that's a 1 plus or minus 1/2 square roots of 10I. That's the answer I want. Okay? Alright, let's go ahead and turn the page. Okay, we're going to turn the page, graph the points, find the equation to model this parabola, find the vertex. Okay, a piece of graph paper. Let's see if I can find one. Alright, piece of graph paper. So I'm going to go ahead and put it all on the graph. Do a little scatter plot. So we'll go to 1, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, 10's up here, okay. Alright, it's off the page. But it looks like it could be a parabola. It really does. It really looks like a parabola to me. So what we need to do is figure out what the equation is by using our stat feature, okay. So, do you have your calculators, okay? Let's use our stat button, okay. So we're going to do list 1, list 2, okay. So take that away real quick, and let's look at list 1. So list 1 and list 2, okay? So in our calculator, list 1 is going to be the x values. It's going to be the 1, the 2, the 4, the 6, and the 7. List 2 is going to be the 7, the 4, the 2, the 5, and the 10. All right, step by step, and I'll write the steps down on the side, okay? So step 1, we'll go to stat. So I go to stat, clear that, got it. I'm going to go to edit. It's on edit. It's on edit, so I just push enter. Okay, I have some old numbers in my calculator. I'm going to get rid of those. So I want to clear my list. So let's clear my lists. To do that, you move up arrow and highlight the list. The list needs to be highlighted. See, it's highlighted. Push clear, down arrow. Go to the other list. Highlight the list name, list 2, highlight. Push clear, down arrow, okay? So, the list is cleared. Let's put in our numbers, okay? So our x values will be list 1, so we'll go 1, enter, 2, enter, 4, enter, 6, enter, 5, enter, whoops, that's not right. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, enter, okay? List 2, we'll put in the y values, so 7, 4, 2, 5, 10. Okay, so what did I do? I'll leave my calculator. What did I do? Clear list, then I entered my numbers. Just did that, okay? Now I need to calculate an answer, so I'm going to go back to stat, okay? Push stat again. Okay, let's push stat. I'm going to calculate. Stat. I'm going to calculate calculate. I just had to move the arrow over, arrow over to calculate. And what I'm looking for is the quadratic regression, which is number 5. So go down to 5, which is my quad reg. Down to my quad reg. And then I push enter. And I need to tell the calculator where my numbers are. My numbers are in list 1, list 2. So I got to go list 1, comma, list 2. Okay, list 1, comma, list 2. So I'm going to put that in my calculator. Go list 1, comma, list 2. Okay. Then I'll push enter, and I'm going to get an equation. Enter. Okay. Now it tells me the form. I want some ax squared. Well, a is 0.738 plus bx. B is negative 5.48. Plus c, and c is 11.879, or maybe make it this 11.88. Okay. So here's what I'm writing. My equation is y. I'll put it up here. It is y equals my 0.738x squared minus 5.48x plus 11.88. Okay, that's my equation. I'm going to highlight that because that is the equation to model these points. Okay, now the vertex. Okay, well, got to find the vertex. We're going to use negative b over 2a. So the vertex is found by negative b over 2a. I've got decimals, but I don't care because I have a calculator. So there's my b, and there's my a. So my vertex is going to be a negative 5.48 over 2 times my 0.738. Okay, now if I use my calculator, that's going to be a positive 5.48, negative, and 2 times, what's 2 times that number? 2 times 0.738 gives me an answer about over a 1.476. I just multiplied 2 times that number. That's all I did. 2 times 0.738 is that number. Now let's divide that out. Okay, so let's divide that out. Clear. I'm going to just use my calculator. I'm just going to go 5.48 divided by 1.476, and I get an answer about 3.7. Okay, so x equals 3.7. Now to do the vertex, you got to get the corresponding y value, right? So I'm getting there. So to do the vertex is going to be 0.37 something. To get the something, we're going to put the 0.37 in for x. Okay, and I'm going to use my calculator. Don't worry, because that's more than enough work without a calculator. So I'm going to just go 0.738 parentheses 3.7 parentheses squared minus 5.48 parentheses 3.7 plus 11.88, and I get an answer of about 1.7. So here's my vertex. Okay, and I'm going to circle that. There's my vertex right there. Vertex. Okay, now find f of 3. Well, we're just going to plug 3 in. So I'm just going to take my 3, plug my 3 in for x. That's all I'm going to do. So f of 3 is really going to be, f of 3 is equal to, hey, I'm recording, come on in. 0.738 times 3 squared. You got to wait, Anna. Minus 5.48 times 3 plus 11.88. Okay, let me put that in the calculator. What's up, Anna? They're right over there. 0.738 parentheses 3 squared minus 5.48 times 3. You bet, Anna, and I'm recording it right now, okay? That was Anna, everybody. So I get an answer about 2.08, okay? So f of 3 is about 2.08. Okay, there we go. That was easy, okay? Not bad, okay? All right. Let's move on to the easy stuff, really. This is the easy stuff, okay? All right, imaginaries. So add real numbers with real numbers. So I'm going to get a 2 minus 4 is a negative 2. 3i minus minus, double negative, so it's really plus. 3i plus 5 is a positive 13i. Be careful of the double negative right here. I got a negative with the negative. That's why I made it plus. So it's really going to be 3 plus 5, which is not 13. 3 plus 5 is 8. I don't know what I was doing. Hold on. Made a mistake. It happens. I got it interrupted. Thanks, Anna. Negative 2 plus 3 plus 5 is 8i. There you go. Got it. Okay. Easy. Just be careful of the double negative. Obviously, I messed it up. Okay, 12. We're going to foil. We're going to go 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 2i is a 4i. Negative 3 times 5 is negative 15i. And negative 3i times a 2i is a negative 6i squared. Okay, before I move on, little side note, we know that I squared is equal to negative 1. Okay, we need to use that feature. That I squared is equal to negative 1. We need to use that feature right there. Okay, so let's simplify. 10 minus 9i minus 6 times negative 1. Oh, how about 11i? Just not having it. How about 11i? Negative 11i. Okay, so I've got a 10 minus 11i plus 6. 16 minus 11i. That's my answer. Easy, right? Just be careful of the I squared. And obviously know how to subtract. Example 13. So you can't have an I in that denominator, so we multiply. We're going to fix the problem with the problem. So what we're going to do is just multiply the top and the bottom by I over I. Okay? By top and bottom by I over I. So let's see what happens. I'm going to have to multiply I times 3, which makes a 3i. I times a negative 2i is a negative 2i squared. That times that, that times that. And then on the bottom we'll get a 4i squared. Now, one more time. We know that, a little side note, that I squared is equal to negative 1, right? So we're going to use that feature. I squared is equal to negative 1, so let's fix that I squared and that I squared. Okay, so let's go ahead and keep going. So we're going to have a 3i minus 2 times negative 1 over 4 times negative 1. Just turn the I squareds into negative 1. So then we're going to have a 3i plus 2 over 4. Okay, now the last thing I'm going to do here is break it up into two parts. I'm going to put this 2 over 4 as my first fraction because I got to do it as two parts. So I'm going to have 2 over 4 plus the second part, because they're both divided by 4, 3 over 4i. And yes, of course, that is 1/2. Better answer, 1/2 plus 3/4 I. There's a nice answer. Okay. Okay, now 14. Here's an easy one. Okay, now I don't have a graph with me, but we're going to make a little graph. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to make a little graph here, and we're going to have our reals and our imaginaries. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3.